Previously.
Hey, quit peeking. It's not done yet.
All right, so we are back for Help Me Fix My Ugly Lawn, episode number 5. And I'm putting him to work today because all the hard stuff is pretty much done. Now it's just to maintain, and because this grass is getting a little bit longer, it's longer in some areas. It's not quite long enough for it to pick up too much, but we're going to cut her down just a little bit. But the riding lawnmower that he has would be way too heavy to try to put that on there. So we're going old school with the old school reel mower. How you liking that? Easy workout. Easy workout. I'm glad he's getting it. So let's get to this. So today we are going to mow everything down. As you can see, things are greening up. We've got baby grass growing in, but we do have a few patches in some areas that are struggling. Now that could be from a couple things. It could be that we didn't get quite enough grass seed down, or the wind came in and blew it out, or whatever it was, or we might have a watering issue. I don't believe that that's necessarily the case, but we're also going to finish out the remainder of our sprinkler calibration and get that really fine-tuned and make any adjustments that need to be made. So let's keep moving. Yeah, it's friendly in California. He likes this, especially with $5 a gallon gas. I don't blame him. All right, so we're done mowing, and the only reason that we're really mowing is to get the blade of grass height down to where the sun can still hit the new seedlings and whatnot and allow them to grow, and plus it keeps it looking nice and groomed a little bit better. Now, as far as the edges go, we wanted to edge because those were the thickest, and usually that's what tends to happen. Your edges get a little bit thicker, so we went ahead and trimmed those down a little shorter, and then blew any additional clippings out just to make sure that there wasn't clippings sitting everywhere. Any of the rest of the clippings that we mowed in, we're just going to let them decompose and turn back into nutrients. But as we're watching down here, there are some spots that are still struggling a little bit, and that could be several different things. Number one, the dirt that was used may not have been too awfully nutrient rich. It was not treated or anything. It was just some basic topsoil. It wasn't terrible, but it may have been better. Then with the amount of high winds that we get here, or that he gets here, a lot of this with the peat moss that we put down could have come in, grabbed that peat moss if it was even slightly dry. Even if it was damp, it blows hard enough here that it could have picked that up and just blown it off and away, and thereby reduced the amount of grass that's going to then sprout. Now as we get closer, you can see these areas become a little bit more prominent, and it's the same areas that were dead before, but they're on their way to a comeback.
Everyone loves a good comeback story, right? Seabiscuit, the Mighty Ducks,
Robert Downey Jr., who
Rocky.
else? Yes.
Kim Kardashian.
Kim, well.
Now, a couple things that we're going to do here. Because we want to make sure that we're giving this a good push, we're going to come in with the garden weasel, and we're going to rough up a lot of this area, so that way when we throw the seed down, it's not sitting on the very slightly waterlogged top layer. We've roughed it up a little bit, and then we're going to put down via the bucket a peat moss, fertilized starter fert, and a seed mix in just the areas that are really struggling. Now it's going to take probably 2 bales of peat moss to get that done. The rest, after we're done, we're going to put down some more seed. We're going to use the peat moss that we have left and do a fine overcoating. We're going to maybe do a double coat on top of these areas, so that way when it does get wet, it's a little extra heavy, and it'll hopefully have a little bit more staying power. And hopefully these will begin to fill in. Now, when we're done with that, we are then going to go and we're going to go into the sprinkler box, the controller, and condense down some of his zones. Right now he's got them on the same zone pattern that they were on before. I think we can reduce them down. He's got, I think, 16 zones right now. I think we can get those down to 8, because with the MP rotators not needing nearly as much pressure, we can combine some zones and get watering done a little bit quicker, a little bit more efficient. So I'm shooting to go from 16 down to 8. We'll see how it works. After we've got the sprinkler done and all that condensed down, we're going to then apply the Greenestart from the N-Ext Greenestart, the 901 from Greene County Fertilizer, and we're going to put down another application of RGS. As we do each section, we're going to then spray the fertilizer down, water it for 15 minutes, and while we're watering it for 15 minutes, we're going to put the cups out and we're going to calibrate the system. Now, we're going to try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone to save a little bit of time. But there's not ever been a help me fix my ugly lawn project where we haven't had some bare spots. And all we've done is come back in with that little heavier mix with some starter fert, and it pushes through and does really, really well. But that being said, it's looking pretty good overall. I'd give it a solid B, but it's just those other little spots that just need a little bit extra TLC, and we're going to get there. Let's get this done. Now we've got a few areas that are a little bit more, they're a little thinner, and the seed didn't take, so we're going to hit that power hit of the peat moss. But to help kind of break the top of the soil up and kind of aerate and get a nice little nook for the seed to settle down into, and then when the peat moss comes on top of it, we can make sure that we're ensuring some good seed to soil contact. We're going to use this little garden weasel. This is a bigger yard, so this is going to take a little bit of time, but super great way to do it. But when I'm doing it, your first thought is, oh, it's going to tear up the grass, and that's not the case. Right now, I'm just basically throwing some spikes down into the ground, and I'm just roughing that dirt up just a little bit. Just enough for that seed to make the best contact it can, and as you can tell, I'm not tearing up too much grass. So we go from this area here. You can see there's a nice little tiny spot that's a little bare. We're gonna just hit that just a little bit, rough it up, and we're good. Now I'm gonna hit these spots and we're gonna put that power, we're gonna talk about the power mix. All right, let's talk about the power hit. So I've got Scott's starter fertilizer. This is a 24-25-4 analysis. I've used this in times past. I'm not using it very heavy. I'm just doing it to give the areas that we are putting this down in just a little bit of love, so that way it gives it just a little bit of kick. We are still going to put down the GreeneStart and the RGS today. It will not overcook it. It's just giving the seeded areas that we're hitting with this seed, peat moss, and fertilizer just a little bit of extra push to help get things going and pushing out and help fill these a little bit thinner spots out. All right, so we've roughed up the majority of the yard to then put down some seed, but in these smaller areas, doing the power hit with the peat moss, the seed, and the fert is okay with the bucket technique, but we are going to hit some of the bigger areas back in the back on the south side with just a straight up seed, then fert, then peat moss over the top. It'll save a little bit of time, but we're also going to do another top dressing of seed, a little bit more peat moss, and do just a light quick dressing just to kind of fill any little gaps that are remaining. So we're gonna hit that up, get that done. So today's application is going to be the Greenestart from N-Ext County Fertilizer. And we're going to be putting that down at an application rate of 12 ounces per 1,000. So we're going to use, and we've got 9,500 square feet, so we're going to use almost the entirety of this jug, but not quite. And then we're going to be putting down the RGS at 3 ounces per 1,000. So we're going to be putting down a total of 30 ounces, close to 30 ounces for the entirety of the yard. So we're going to go ahead and put that down, and then we're going, and Trent is already rolling out some of the peat moss to do a slight hot dressing over the seed that we just put down. All right, so we've got this watered in with about 1/4 inch of water, but as you can tell, surprise, surprise, we got wind. So that being said, I don't think that we're going to be able to accurately calibrate the system like we would want to, but hopefully the wind will die down a little bit later today, and we'll just put down the 1/4 inch to get some stuff watered in, and then we will move on and try to get that calibrated. If not, we're gonna have to calibrate it at another time.
5 hours later.
Okay, so it's about 5 hours later, and the wind is just now starting to die down. We are having a few mild breezy gusts coming through, but it's supposed to taper down. Like there's one right there. It's supposed to be tapering down. We've got about maybe 30 minutes left of actual sunlight, and then we've got just the twilight that's left to try to get as much done as we can. Otherwise, we're gonna have to start up first thing in the morning and get that finished off. But let's pray that the wind just tapers down. Let's do it. I have no idea if you can even see me, but I will say this. This is probably the latest I've ever done any sort of work like this and barely being able to see. But you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
So what we've done is we're going to finish up with the peat moss up on this top. We're going to save the bottom area for tomorrow morning when we can see, and then I'll also spray what's left of the Greenestart and the RGS on the lawn and water it in. See you tomorrow.
I think I'm getting the black lung, Bob. It's not very well ventilated down there.
For Christ's sake, Derek, you've been down there one day. Talk to me in 30 years.
Early the next morning, the next morning, the next morning, the next morning, the next morning.
All right, it is the next morning, and we are up prior to the front side of dawn, and we're going to get this finished up before other things that are pressing have to get done today. So, and I got to return home, but we're going to get the rest of the stuff down, and I'll be back in 3 weeks. Now, one of the most interesting things about all of this is that right now there's not even hardly a breeze. I mean, it's nice, it's calm, it's cool. It's kind of like high quality H2O. But I'll tell you what, this is nice. The rest of the time, it's like Satan's armpit or elsewhere. All right, last step. Sun just cracked above the horizon. Putting down the Greenestart and the RGS, and then we'll be done. Hey everybody, just wanted to do a quick reminder about our 2022 subscriber giveaway. We are giving away 2 dethatchers that have been featured in some of my previous comparison videos. At the 2,500 subscriber mark, we're going to give away the Lawn Master Dethatcher Scarifier, and at the 3,000 subscriber mark, we're going to give away the AJ801E Dethatcher Scarifier as well. To be eligible, all you need to do is be a subscriber, go in and like the video for the comparison of the Works Dethatcher, the Sunjoe 805E, and the Lawn Master Dethatcher Scarifier. Please leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, and when we get those 2 subscriber marks, we'll announce the giveaway winner. I'm really excited to be able to give back to the community for all the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and all the love that has been given to the channel this year. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.